Hello there. Welcome to week 2 of my 10 weeks of Stirling series. Today we're going to be shaving with Stirling's Ozark Mountain. We're going to use my Semogue 1470, which I have soaking here, and the Maggard MR6 Razor with Family Dollar Dorco ST 301. It's had about 2 shaves on it, so that's the deal. Let's go ahead and get started lathering while I talk. One of the things that I've really found out about this soap is that it loves water. And I've tried to lather these soaps in a ton of different ways. The Stirling soaps in general are the Margaritas and Arctic, which is the only one I've shaved with so far. But I've tried to lather this soap a ton of different ways, and I found that I get the same results. I'm trying to smell it because I'm trying to come up with kind of what my impressions are of this soap. But I mean, I've tried to lather it pretty much every way imaginable, from a dry brush to a soaking wet brush and puck. And I need to transfer my lather to my bowl now. And I've come to the conclusion that it doesn't really matter for me what I do. I'm going to get a good lather out of this soap no matter what I do. So I just will do what is easiest for me in the bowl. And that is to use a fairly wet brush and a fairly wet puck and lather on up. This soap, so far what I'm getting is kind of an earthy, kind of piney kind of scent. Not quite sure what I would call it beyond that. It is, I'm going to add some more water. It is very subtle. The Mita, as soon as and that's Margaritas in the Arctic, as soon as I put some water on that puck, I mean, it immediately, the aroma of that soap immediately bloomed out into the entire bathroom, and it was full of the aroma of the Margaritas in the Arctic. This soap does not do that. I'm going to add me some more water. What I've learned from this soap is that I can make, well, what I've learned from Margaritas in the Arctic, when I say this soap, I'm meaning Margaritas in the Arctic, Stirling in general. But what I've learned from the Margaritas in the Arctic is that I can end up with a ton of lather from this soap. And nice, fat, thick lather. And I like that because, to be quite honest, it lets me pile it up on my face. And that's a good thing. So I think that lather looks pretty good. I've already washed my face with Irish Spring. Let me set that down a minute. So I'm going to do my standard routine, and that is that I'm going to get my cloth here damp with some warm water. And I'm going to dampen my face with that, and I'm going to begin to lather. The thing that I have come to love about the Stirling soap is this lather. It is unbelievably, now I like that, it's unbelievably rich and thick. I like the smell of that. It's not as this soap in the puck is fairly mild. See, I'm going to pile this on because I know I got plenty of lathery goodness to go. So, but this soap on the puck, off the puck rather, the scent off the puck is rather mild. When you get it to the face, it comes alive. Let me dry my hands. It fills my nostrils with there's an earthy component. I don't know what it is. I don't know. What Rod used. It almost, maybe it's tea tree oil or something like that, but almost, but not quite. A mossy kind of smell, kind of. When I was a kid, I grew up in Georgia and Alabama, and in Georgia, particularly the pine trees grow incredibly tall. There's a reason that there's a phrase, high as a Georgia pine, because some of the pine trees there grow to tremendous heights. And as a child, I've stomped on them and crushed them in my hands and all kind of things, smelled them. There is it's not a pine sol kind of scent. There's nothing in this scent that I can smell that it smells chemically or anything like that. But it's more kind of like what I likened to the smell of the pine cones and stuff in Georgia when I was a kid. That's the, you know, there's an underlying earthiness, like, I don't know if if you're a hunter or a hiker or someone who spends a lot of time in the woods, you'll recognize the smell immediately. This soap doesn't smell anything like it, but it reminds me of the same kind of sensation or feeling that I get, and now I'm talking about an emotional feeling, not a physical one. But the same, similar to what I get when I shave with Real Shave Company. There's a smell of old dry earth with moss growing, lichen growing on top of it. Anybody that's spent any time in the woods under a tree stand, or under a tree rather, instead of a tree stand. When I used to hunt, I don't do it anymore. But when I used to hunt, not for any other reason but that I'm older and more of my time is taken up with other things and I don't have the opportunity. Nothing against hunting. But anyway, when I used to hunt, I was what some people would call a ground hunter. I very seldom used a tree stand of any kind. I always hunted from the ground, you know. And I spent my share of time underneath trees, in the dirt, backed up into like an old evergreen, or that maybe the side of it was rotted out and the rest of it was green everywhere else, and you could camo up and back up into that tree and kind of disappear, that kind of deal. And this has that sensation, that smell, that scent of that lichen, of the floor of a forest, is what it kind of smells like to me. It's there's a complexity to it that I'm not sure I'm going to get in this first shave, but there's a, you know, you hear all the time that when rod soaps are compared to a particular soap maker who is also popular. Once again, like I said in my video, you get a lot of comments mostly from the guys who like the other guy better. That rod scents aren't as complex. This scent, there's a subtle complexity to it that I'm not sure that I'm really ever going to be able to articulate. But it's a very pleasant scent altogether. And though you can smell it really well when you shave it, a lot better than you can when you put water on the puck. Even though that's the case, it's not overpowering. I honestly can say that it's a very pleasant scent, but I'm not. It's very pleasant. It's very, like I said, very earthy, very woodsy and natural. This is a shave soap that I could learn to love because I like those scents. Yeehaw! Lather flying all over the place. Look at that. But you know, I mean, there's lather in that bowl. This is my third pass. You know, I could wash that lather down the sink, or I can pile it on, and I can tell you that one of the things that I am loving about the two of these soaps that I've tried is that there's a latherability of this soap. I mean, nice, fat, thick, cushiony, slick. Still every bit as slick as it ever was, and this, you know, not picky about how the lather's made. Still going to be nice and slick. Love this soap for that. Nicked myself a bit there the last pass. I thought I had. But my skin sometimes I can cut myself actually pretty deep. And it'll take 4 or 5 minutes before I start to bleed. I've always been that way. Ever since I can remember, as my diabetes has progressed, I've taken to bruising much more easily. Used to be, I seldom ever bruised. I didn't get black eyes. And I'm not proud of it, but I wasn't always a preacher. And there have been times when I got into fights and stuff like that through my life, and most men have. Excuse me a minute. And you usually couldn't black my eye or anything like that, because I've always been really resistant I'm going to take one little across the grain path on my chin. Probably don't need it. I'm going to do it anyway. Anyway, so sometimes when I nick myself, I don't immediately realize it. I might feel it and go, yeah, I nicked myself there. But I never know for sure whether it's going to be a weeper or whether, sometimes I'm not sure if I actually did. Not to wait. So, anyway, just for giggles, that's what's left in the bowl. I can do another pass easy with that. I'm going to put some Aqua Velva Musk on because I think it'll go really well with the earthy, piney. You know, when I announced the samples that I had gotten, I immediately got replies of, what, no coniferous? Which I assume means pine coney type scent. Well, this has got some of that in it. But it's a wonderful soap. The lather is a little less yogurty for some reason. Must be a couple of different elements of the scents or oils that he used. But this lather, it is still yogurty, but it's almost more of the fluffy kind of lather I get from Mitchell's Wool Fat and from some of the creams that I Parasso Green. There's a hint of that to it, but it's still really shiny, and it's still got mostly a yogurty kind of consistency. It's still nice and slick. It's a little bit less slick than the margaritas in the Arctic. I don't know if that was my lather technique, although I lathered the margaritas in the Arctic exactly like I lathered this, so I don't believe that's the case. But I'll experiment during the week with lathering this just like I did with margaritas in the Arctic, and toward the end of in about 5 days, somewhere in that range, I will post a end of week review of Ozark Mountain and give you my final assessment of this soap. But it's a lovely soap. For me, right now, just from an initial impression, I like margaritas in the Arctic better. This soap is milder in scent, but like I said, there's a bit of complexity to this soap that, you know, it may take me 2, 3, 4 days to really get. And then I might honestly not be able to convey to you exactly what it is I'm getting of this. But if you like earthy or lichen, mossy, you know, piney, just a hint of the piney kind of scents. If those scents are scents that you gravitate toward, I think you'll like this soap. I do like that kind of scent. And for that reason, I can't really say right now where this would end up in rotation, whether or not I would buy a puck of it or not. I'm not going to make that determination unless, like with margaritas in the Arctic, that thing was a slam dunk from the start as far as the way it smelled. And I'm probably going to buy a puck of that because I love that. That's on the list. But this, there's 8 more soaps to try, you know. So, you know, this may make the list and it may not. But I would recommend this soap to anybody that likes that earthy, that deep kind of earthy, dark kind of scent. To me, scents kind of, there's kind of a mood that comes along with it. This is really, really dark. I would call this masculine in a big way. And that's my review. I hope that you enjoyed it. I hope you enjoyed the shave. And God bless you. I'll see you around the forums and the big shave.